Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Thank you for coming back, goddesses. And we're going to talk about today the laws of cause and effect. I am Gwendolyn, your high priestess of the Temple of Venus. The laws of cause and effect is really the law of correspondence. It's one of the laws of the universe. Now, what you're seeing me do is I'm reading my notes. Usually, what I do is I put it in ChatGPT, and ChatGPT usually organizes it for me, and I like the way that it like words it out. But this time, I'm just gonna read the notes. So we're gonna talk about how a lot of people, instead of planning their life, they just let things happen to them, right? But you don't have to let anything happen to you. You don't have to um, not feel like you are without power. You have the most power. You know why you have power? Because you have a mind, and all is mind. And once you have access to your mind, you have the ability to change and transmute whatever it is that you have in front of you. So a lot of people just kind of let things happen to them in their life, in their future, and that's not really what you need to do. But what you will notice is that people who are very successful actually have found a way to control and discipline their mind and to be able to have a degree of success. So the first thing you got to do is get your priorities in order, because you have to figure out what it is that you need to do to get from point A to point B. And let me give you an example of what I'm saying. So let's say, I don't know, you want to quit your job, you hate your boss, can't stand your coworkers, you just got to get out of there. But it pays well, it pays your bills. So now you have to like think to yourself, well, if I just quit my job today, what's gonna happen? You know, and that is thinking about the laws. That's thinking about the laws of cause and effect. So some people who do not have control of their identity or their sense of self, who don't know who they are, and who are very reactive and don't control their emotions, that's a big one. If you don't control your emotions, then you leave the universe to do whatever it wants to you. And sometimes other people's energies can get caught up in what you're trying to do, and now you've shifted because you don't have control over maximizing your energetic field. So you have to think about every decision that you make. So if you are going to quit your job, then make sure that you have a plan of what's next. Okay, so are you working towards another degree? Are you going back to school? Are you learning a trade? Did you start a YouTube channel? Did you start a business? What are you going to do to support yourself after you quit your job? But don't just quit your job without having a plan, because then you're going to see the real laws of cause and effect happen to you, and you're not going to have any control over what happens in your life. And number two is you have to master your emotions and don't react to things. Don't react. I want you to plan. Plan for what's going to happen. Plan for what you have to do next. Every single case that you feel like you're supposed to be emotional over, you have to strategize to see how are you going to handle the situation in a way where like nobody knows that it's emotional. Because I personally do not believe that karma exists. So, well, I believe that karma exists for the people that believe karma exists. But I've seen enough people to know that, like, that's either here or there. Like, so if we take a look at people like our current president, I don't believe that he thinks karma exists. I think that he does what he thinks is right, and that's it. And he has convinced himself, and he believes his delusion. Even if his delusion is right or wrong, it doesn't matter. He believes in himself so much that other people believe in him too, right? And so you have to learn how to control your emotions. And even though it might look like he doesn't control his emotions, he controls his emotions the way that he wants to control his emotions. Controlling your emotions doesn't mean that you're making everybody else happy. Controlling your emotions means that you know what your emotions are, what they're going to be, and people are going to have to just deal with it and respect it. And people will shift. And you know what they'll start saying? They'll start saying things like, oh, that's just how she is. But the thing about your emotions is you don't want to put yourself in a place where like you are going to pay the consequence, and then you don't have any control over your own life. So you have to find like a balance. And that's where strategizing come in. Using your emotions to know what you can or cannot do. And that's where you win. That's really a part of mastering yourself. Because if you don't master yourself, what will happen is you will sabotage your relationships, you will maybe lose your job, and so you might not like the way that your life turns out. So what you have to do is you have to learn that in a situation where you have like you want something different, you have to learn how to transmute that negative energy into something positive, right? So who am I thinking of? I don't know why Kanye just came into my head. So Kanye West is like another example of somebody who like believes deeply in himself and whatever that he wants, and he will justify his actions, believe his delusions, and live in it and stand in it. I remember Kanye back in the day used to say things like, I'm a genius. I'm a genius. I just told you who I thought I was. I'm a god. I just told you. And he kept saying it to us. He kept saying it. Now, keep in mind, there's some people that don't believe in Kanye, but there is a large demographic of people who love Kanye because and are now saying the things that Kanye used to say about himself and affirm it in himself. So even if he wasn't a genius at the time, he said it so much that he believed it. And then the energetic field that he had, he transmuted himself and sent that energy out, and the other people started believing it too. And that's how much belief and power you have to have in yourself. And you have to be able to control your emotions the way that you want to control your emotions. That's the key. The way that you want, and whatever the consequences are or the winnings of those are, you have to deal with it. I believe that, like, even in the sense of karma, like if we talk about Kanye, I believe that you can transmute your karma. I believe that if something bad, or you did something bad, or something bad happened, what you can do is justify your delusions, because he definitely does that. He definitely justifies his delusions, whatever that he wants. Even like our president, if you look at him or you listen to what he's saying, whatever that's happening, he justifies it the way that he wants to do it. He controls the narrative. He says things that he knows people are going to repeat and say again and again because he has power, because he has learned the machine of his own emotions and how people respond to his emotions, and the demographic of people that give him positive feedback. I even heard at one point he only had positive news stories that he was reading in the morning at one time. And that's what you have to do. So he was very conscientious of making sure that his environment, his nervous system, all of that was regulated. But I feel like to become a true alchemist, you have to be able to, first of all, control your emotions the way that you want to control your emotions, and use your emotions as a form of strategy. Like, I feel like even with Kanye, like Kanye knows that like when he does something, it's going to get people talking. He knows what he's doing. So in that regard, he's probably a genius. But he told y'all that he was a genius. And he could really just be a manipulator. But because he's been saying that he's a genius for years, everybody's like, oh, he's a genius. I mean, I don't know what Kanye is. He's the one that gets to define himself officially. I don't know what he is now, because I think he's been a couple of things. But alchemy is when you know how to use the universal laws in your favor, in the spiritual sense. So what is really important is learning how to use your mind, because all is mind, and then learning how to use your imagination and visualize what your next things are, or write it down. You just need a way to take it from your mind into an intermediate where the alchemical process can happen, whether it's writing it down or doing a spell or buying an object that reminds you of that thing, putting a picture on your phone about like what you're trying to manifest, painting it, whatever the case may be, you need to find a way to take that from your mind and put it into the real world, because the real world and the ethers are working together. This real world that we see, they're working together in order to make your items come true. Okay, so I want to say that make sure that you're doing your visualization techniques, make sure that you're doing your journaling, make sure that you're writing what you want, your affirmations, whatever you need to take you from one step to the next. Okay, my dears, thank you so much, my goddesses, for coming back and watching this video. If you could please like, share, and subscribe, I would appreciate it as I grow my spiritual business. Okay, thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. And remember, as always, it is done. Bye.